All right, everyone, welcome back for another episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022. So markets all over the map here. We had a grind lower all day long, gap down, got green for a few minutes, rejected that 50 moving average, and then it was really a grind lower on light volume. So I tweeted out, said it's very strange to see the spiders down 1.5% on just 57 million shares traded. So that's very light volume. If at this was at 2 p.m. And then we had some huge buy volume come through when Biden started talking. Essentially, he was kind of tough on Russia. The gist of it is, as far as the media is concerned, with increased conflict and so on and so forth, that the Fed will essentially have to walk back their rate hikes. That's the story. We don't really care about the story. We care about the market's reaction. Market liked it, came off the lows. We had a lot of buy volume here. It did reject that 50 moving average, and this is kind of where you broke down. So no surprise that it was defended a little bit by the bears. But, they did come off the lows here. Nice buy volume there, market on close, to, save the spiders a little bit. Now, taking a look on the daily here, you can see the spiders here. It came down. If we look on the E-mini, actually, you can get a little bit better idea. So we came down and almost tested this double bottom here. Then NQ futures actually got through double bottom earlier and then came way off the lows here. So now they did push it back a little bit. Again, we talked about how they pushed it off the highs a little bit here, but this is potentially, if we get follow through tomorrow, it's all going to depend on tomorrow. If we get follow through tomorrow, you could have a major W bottom here. So you got the double bottom, and then you got the textbook pierce of the low, and then if you get a wide range green bar tomorrow, look at the volume here. By the way, that's heavy volume, and finishing off the lows of the doji, you get heavy volume tomorrow in an up day. I would probably say that there's a very good chance of a tradable bottom being in. I don't know if that's the year-to-date low, or I don't know if we're going to all-time highs. I just care about the near term right now. We're looking for a tradable bottom. This market is, again, you guys know I've been saying that we're going to go into a bear in 2022, but it's really overdone in the short term. There's a ton of puts out there. The bear hubris on social media is getting pretty ridiculous. The put call ratio has been over 1 for quite a while. I think this market is due for a counter trend bounce. That doesn't mean it can't go lower at some point. I still think there's a good chance that we could go down and test. Let's take a look at the SPY here. I still think there's a good chance we go down and test that 425 area, maybe even tomorrow. I thought we were going to get down there today. It stalled out around 426, just below 426 when Biden started talking, and the market came off the lows. But I still think there's a chance we could go down there. But again, tomorrow is going to be the real tell. All right, so a couple of things of note. Apple and Tesla really got hit pretty hard today, and that shows that there's people kind of giving up a little bit. So that's kind of a bit of a contrarian indicator. Also, another little tidbit to note: stocks like PayPal, this was only down 0.5%. If you look on the intraday, this was basically hugging the flat line all day long. Roku was up big today. Zoom was flattish. Teladoc finished green. So we're starting to see these beaten down growth stocks start to kind of outperform a little bit, relatively speaking. And what that says to me is that everybody who wanted to sell these has probably already sold. So we may be getting close to a short-term bottom here in some of these beaten down names. And, we're seeing a little bit of selling kind of trickle into the big caps in Apple and so on. But again, like I was saying earlier, that the volume was very light here. So this tells me it was either algos or retail selling all this. And to see Apple get hit as hard as it did, that really kind of signals that we're getting close to some type of capitulation, at least in the near term. Anyways, let's flip over here. So we talked about the spiders. Again, it's going to all depends on follow through tomorrow here. Same thing with the triple Qs. We did basically hit double bottom there almost to the penny. But again, we want to see follow through tomorrow to the upside. It doesn't mean we can't test lower prices also and then reverse off the lows. But again, you want to see follow through here to complete a W bottom. Let's look at the Russell. So the Russell actually got into a 618 today, right off of this low. And the Russell still has higher lows in place, right? So there's your little 618. Nice little bounce off of that. Did kind of finish weak. But, again, got a nice reaction off of that 618 there. And, here's the low from January on the Russell, and here's where we are now. And you simply just compare that to the spiders. The Russell has outperformed in the last month or so. So again, that's not a bearish indicator. Also, the Dow today was underperforming a little bit. Believe it or not, that's also not a bearish indicator. The Dow underperforming is nothing wrong with that. You actually want to see the NASDAQ and the Russell outperform, and you want to see the Dow perform the weakest. So, again, it's just one day. We're not going to make too much out of it, but is worth noting here. So let's look at the semis here. Semis were actually green twice today. Once in the morning, and then once during the afternoon after that rally. They came off the highs, but they did show some strength. NVIDIA was a stronger name today. Again, still finished red here, but it was a stronger name, filled that gap, held the 200 moving average. So, nothing really too wrong there. That could get a bounce off that level, which will help the semis and tech. IGV hung in there pretty well today, with the exception of the last 30 or 40 minutes. It was actually green for quite a bit of the day here and was showing strength, but kind of an ugly close there on IGV. We'll see what it does tomorrow. Let's look at the Dow Transport. So they got hit pretty hard. They came way off the lows and then kind of closed near the lows after that that kind of sell off there in the last half hour. But again, kind of completing this little inside bar pattern. You want to see it hold this tail candle, otherwise it's down to this 14,300-ish handle. So that is the look there on the transports. One very weak sector today was home builders. So there's no way to dress this up or put lipstick on it. This one got hit, and we've been talking about the weakness here. It's going to be tough for these to get a bid in a high yield environment. VNQ also getting hit a little bit today. Still holding onto this tail low, so it's not dead in the water yet, but much weakness here in the real estate sectors. All right, so speaking of yields, take a look here at the 10-year, pulling back a little bit, but held this green bar low, and it's holding the 20 moving average for now. So we'll give it the upside bias. Maybe you can get a bit of a bid here. 30 years, same kind of deal, holding that green bar low from a few weeks ago and the 20 moving average there. So we'll see if that can get a push up in the next couple days. Financials here, XLF. So we talked about this, filling that gap here and now coming back off the highs, getting close to this trend line again. I still think XLF's got a good bid in it. Financials have been holding up pretty well. Did finish negative today, but been a strong sector. Broker dealers coming down here, testing that 200 and the trend line. Morgan Stanley, this one went from all-time highs to oversold very quickly. 1-2 dojis in a row, so maybe has a bit of a change of direction tomorrow to get into that double bottom. I do like this look here on both Goldman and JP. These are not terrible pullback patterns here on either of these banks here. So they could get a nice little lift up if the market can find some footing. All right, so XLE, this was a major league reversal today. We got to look at the intraday just to get an idea. So look at this, gapping all the way up above $70, coming all the way down, filling the gap, bear flag down. Then you did finish a little bit off the lows, so it did get some footing back. But look at that engulfing reversal. You basically engulfed the last 3 weeks of trading here in one day. Let's take a look at the weekly. Yeah, so pretty big candle there. If we look at the XOP, obviously same kind of deal. OIH, same thing there. Still holding trend though, still holding that 20 moving average, but big reversal nonetheless. Crude also coming off the highs. And this is another thing. So with the quote unquote invasion and so on and so forth going on, why isn't crude making new highs? That's a question I have to ask. So if there's really a concern from the market about this whole thing going on, why isn't crude blasting off to $96, $97 today? Actually came off the highs, and we had reversal in XLE and XOP and OIH. Something to just keep on your radar there. Something to, when I see these types of things, my antennas go up. All right, anyways, nat gas coming off the highs here today. Basically kind of a flattish day though, and still inside of this green candle. Again, if it consolidates sideways, it can make a push up here, but pattern is too premature in the near term to do anything with. Dollar index, kind of a flat day here. Again, kind of strange considering how volatile the markets were, but I know the ruble was all over the place. So that may be a little bit having to do with it, but ultimately just kind of a quiet day there for the dollar. Gold, interesting. So we got up to double top, we pierced through it. Take a look at the high of the day. So 1918. Okay, so we didn't quite pierce through it. We got very close though. But finishing with a doji, so it would not surprise me to pull back a little bit. Also heavy volume there. So if we get a pullback to what you want to see here, if you're gold bull, is you want to see a pullback and a higher low. If you see that, then it can attack this again. But it's just too extended in the short term to get through that area. So that's kind of what I'm looking at there. But gold into double top and finishing with a doji there. Silver, same kind of deal, stalling out at the 200 moving average, doji candle. That one probably has to pull back a little bit as well. Platinum here, Nothing really wrong with this pattern. So I see this as, you know, we talked about this bullish base here, nice pop, a little bit of a reversal on Friday and still kind of inside of that candle. But if it starts going sideways, that's telling you it wants to go higher. And palladium, nothing wrong here. Again, nice weekly time frame on that. I like that pattern. That's a good pattern there on palladium. Copper, one thing I'll point out about copper here is we started talking about this inside bar last week, and that's, you know, we're staying inside of that. So if this bakes in the oven a little bit longer, this could be setting up for a move lower. So just be ready for that on copper. But that's what we have there in the near term on copper futures. All right, so let's flip over to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin actually held up really well. And this is another reason, or this is another positive here for the market. And again, if we get follow through on Bitcoin tomorrow, it's telling you the market probably wants to go higher. Again, this is really the poster asset for risk on right now. And the fact that Bitcoin finished green today, considering what happened in the overall market, that's not a bearish look. So I'll just leave it at that. Again, we talked about it coming down to test this 39,000 area. Got through that a little bit. Did get to this pivot low. We'll see what it does tomorrow, but it's holding on for now. Ethereum, same kind of deal. Got back into this. This is where you had this bear flag. It was supposed to break down. It didn't. So that's going to be support. So getting a bounce off of that. Again, if crypto gets a follow through here, that would be a net positive for the equity markets. Anyways, again, just to wrap up, you know, I kind of just said it here, but follow through is what we're really going to be looking for. Doesn't mean we can't come down and test the lows here, but you want to see some type of a big green bar tomorrow on volume. That's going to tell you that there's a major tradable bottom in. But again, I still think there's a chance that we could come down and test that 425, maybe 424 level if we really get sort of a kind of a panic sell capitulation move. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. You guys take care, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.